It's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Life in the Movies podcast. I'm one of your co hosts. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This week, we're about in the month of August. No, I can't believe it either. And Jacob and I are going to be previewing all the movies coming out in theaters and streaming coming out in August. And also, we'll be touching briefly on some Marvel news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. There's a lot to unpack, but first I got to introduce my very good friend. He is the man. He is Jacob Martin. Jacob, how you doing, good sir?
I am doing great. Thank you once again for having me on your podcast. I'm excited to talk some exciting Marvel news. I know they dropped a lot of amazing stuff at Comic-Con this past weekend. Maybe a little too much, but I'm still excited to crave it all in and enjoy what looks to be another exciting era of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And of course, we got the August preview as well. I'm excited to dive deep into another awesome podcast. How's your week been, Ryan?
It's been quite busy. Just to get some plugs out of the way, I will be on the Chatter After podcast where myself and Mike, the novice cinephile, and Brandon, the Scarlet fan, we did a deep dive on The Shawshank Redemption, one of my all-time favorites. It was a lot of fun. And then I am now one of the new co-hosts on the League of Cinephiles, the movie trivia Under the Lights. I'm a co-host there. It is so much fun. I'm having a great time. It's one of the reasons why I was not able to watch Jessica Jones this week. And so, because we have already quite a packed show to begin with. So next week, Jacob and I will be covering episodes 4 and 5 as a bit of a double feature, so to speak. But I was incredibly busy. Jacob was the good student. He actually watched the episode. I did not because I was busy with other things. But I like this kind of busy. I like being on other places, and it was great to work with Mike. It's great to work with Brandon. I'm looking forward to being on their show in the future, and also I'm just having a really good time with my channel, and I'm liking where it is, and I'm really looking forward to where it's going.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I love hearing when you collaborate with other people and get involved in other projects, and I think helps everybody's channels out when you do stuff like that. I've noticed when I've done collabs over on my end, everybody's channel eventually grows because of the contact with other people. Like your subscribers will go watch the other stuff, and my subscribers will watch their stuff, and it's a really good close-knit community of awesome YouTubers that keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Jason, the old millennial, who has been commenting on quite a few of my videos, and he was originally one of your subscribers and found me through you. So that's a good example. And my good friend Aaron White has been following your videos, and he's one of my favorite subscribers. One of his comments is actually going to be featured in my first reaction to The Crow, but more on that at the end of the show. But for right now, I think this is a good place as any to jump into some quick Comic-Con news. Now, this isn't going to be the Comic-Con podcast reaction, but let's just say Marvel dropped a bit of a bombshell. They basically laid out their next 5-year or 3-year plan going forward with all of their upcoming TV shows and especially their movies. I don't have the timeline in front of me, but basically we're getting 2 Avengers movies, or we're getting 2 more of them. We're getting Avengers The Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Invasion, or Secret Wars, excuse me. We're getting a Secret Invasion TV show. We're also getting the Blade movie, which is starting filming in October. And then for more recent fare, we got a new trailer for She-Hulk. And most importantly of all, we got the first trailer for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And folks, this trailer was fantastic. You know, I believe I've said on this show that I was very worried about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever for a variety of reasons, especially because it's about late July now. It's about to be August. And I was sitting there thinking, this movie's only got a couple months left and we haven't heard a thing. this is starting to concern me. But then they not only dropped the trailer, but probably one of my favorite trailers of the year, because this trailer, for lack of a better word, was just fan-friggin-tastic. Jacob, do you agree?
I definitely agree. I have had my concerns on Wakanda Forever for a lot of reasons. This film was plagued with so many obstacles. Obviously, the big one being Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed away. They had a lot of COVID restrictions and hurdles they had to get around, and Letitia Wright had that bad injury that halted production. So this movie had a lot against it, but I was at the same time kind of intrigued to see what they were going to do with this movie, because how are you going to tell a story without your main actor? And I think the only person who could probably pull that off was Ryan Coogler, because he worked on the first movie, and the sequel, I could tell just from watching the trailer, he is making this out of clear love to Chadwick Boseman. Like, this is like a clear love letter to what he had, what he brought to the role. I don't know where the story is going to go. We don't even know who the new Black Panther is going to be, because they teased it at the final shot of the trailer. And honestly, I don't really want to know until the movie comes out, because that'll keep me all the more intrigued on what they're going to do. I just thought this was a fantastic trailer with beautiful visuals. I loved seeing more of the world of Wakanda just in this trailer, and the emotion. You can tell this is going to be an emotional movie. It looks like a movie of the kingdom of Wakanda divided after the death of T'Challa and where to go after this. And I think it's going to be an emotional roller coaster from beginning to end. I don't know if it'll top the original Black Panther. The original was such a phenomenally done Marvel movie. But if Ryan Coogler can hit all the emotions, hit all the right beats, and tell a beautiful love letter to pay respect to the late Chadwick Boseman, I think he's going to do something beautiful with this movie.
Yeah, I agree more. We've said frequently in the past that Taika Waititi has the golden touch. Well, that goes double for Ryan Coogler, because that man has yet to make a movie that I have disliked. Even saying all of his movies are good is a disservice, because he has not missed a single time. I recommend that everyone, this is your homework for this evening. Go out of your way to watch Fruitvale Station. If you have never seen Fruitvale Station, get ready to cry, because that movie will rip your soul apart. But Ryan Coogler just directed he directed that just to a T. It's my first exposure to Michael B. Jordan, and I have been a fan of his ever since. It's a very small movie. I believe it's an independent movie. I'm not sure, but it's a very disturbing and sadly very relevant movie, because it deals with a black man and a police officer, and that's still very, very, very sad. But Fruitvale Station is a very well-made movie that I recommend everyone check out.
Yeah, I actually never saw that movie.
Yeah, and I was actually just looking this up in terms of who could conceivably be taking over T'Challa, and this is just in the comics, but we could be looking at someone like Azuri the Wise or Sayan, and this is just in the comics, so it could be someone else entirely. But I think if we're looking at it, I'm thinking Lupita Nyong'o's character Nakia might be taking over. I mean, just if we want to go that route, it's either her or potentially Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, because conceivably Shuri is the sister of T'Challa. So if we're going by familial legacy, then that's the next logical step. But I don't know. We're just playing armchair quarterbacks here, so it's ultimately up to what Ryan Coogler does. But I mean, it's Ryan Coogler, so in Coogler we trust. Whatever he does, I have a feeling it's going to be the right decision.
Yeah, I think he'll make the right decision, and regardless of who he chooses, I think it'll still be a worthy successor, because you have someone who has a clear vision on how to tell this story.
Yeah, and also shout out to Angela Bassett for having just the one of the best trailer lines of the year, where she
Mhm.
says, I'm the leader of the most powerful nation of my on earth, and my entire family is gone." It's like, bro, like just give her the Oscar right now. Like just do it already, because she's fantastic.
Yeah, that was like the line that broke me when I was watching the trailer. I'm like, man, the acting is going to be so good in this movie.
Yeah, and shout out to whoever made that "No Woman, No Cry" song. I was like, wow, like they went above and beyond creating that little ditty.
Yeah, the music was fantastic just in the trailer alone. Like, I can't imagine how the soundtrack is going to be, considering how amazing the score was in the first movie.
Well, also, and let me actually just pull up the next phase, and I'll just talk about which ones are dropping. But we also got another trailer for She-Hulk, and this still has my excitement about where it was. I'm still waiting and seeing. But did you see this trailer? Do you have
I
any?
did see the She-Hulk trailer, and I'm not that crazy about it. I don't like the visual look of She-Hulk. She just looks too goofy, in my opinion. I'm confused over the general direction of the show. She made fourth wall breaks throughout the trailer. Is this show supposed to be more of a tongue-in-cheek, in-your-face type show? I don't know if that kind of fits within the rest of the MCU, considering there's been no. I don't really get why She-Hulk is doing fourth wall breaks. Honestly, it made no sense. There's stuff from what I saw in the trailer that looks cool. Like, I like that we're getting more Mark Ruffalo. We're finally seeing the return of Tim Roth as Abomination. We haven't seen him since 2008. It'll be fun seeing more of him. And they teased Daredevil. I'm gonna watch the show specifically for Daredevil. He'll probably only be in one episode, but that'll probably be the best one. Right now, I'm confused over the direction of the show. I was thinking it was going to be like a semi sequel to The Incredible Hulk, but the iffy CGI and the weird comedic direction is really concerning me on this one.
Yeah, but like I said, for me personally, I'm waiting and seeing. I do plan on watching it
Yeah, same here.
just for the sake of keeping up, because I've been doing a bad job. And I will, now that there's going to be a new phase, I want to watch the rest of phase 4 before we move on to there. But I found an article that lists everything coming up down the pike. Shout out to Deadline for creating this. On February 17th of 2023, we're getting Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. On May 5th, we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. On July 28th, we're getting The Marvels. On November 3rd, we're getting Blade. On February 16th of 2024, we're getting an Untitled Project. On May 3rd, we're getting Captain America: New World Order. Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash come down the ramp. No, I'm just kidding. And then July 26th, we're getting Thunderbolts. And then that's phase 5. And phase 6, we're getting Fantastic Four on November 8th. We're getting Avengers: The Kang Dynasty May 2nd of 2025. And then later on in that same year, November 7th, we're getting Avengers: Secret Wars. And I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, but that's a pretty stacked lineup for just announcement of saying, hey, here is our plan for the next 3 years. I mean, there's been some debate that I have seen over Marvel fatigue. I know some people I follow in the movie space are not super enthused. That is just like Kevin Feige's just like, all right, just greenlight everything. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. But I mean, the man clearly has a plan, and I've been very critical of Phase 4. I'm not trying to be hypocritical on that point, but I mean, he's got at least his stuff figured out, and I can't lie, I'm looking forward to at least 4 or 5 of these things just off the top. Not to mention, we're getting Daredevil, yay. We're getting we're getting Blade, yay again. We're getting Secret Invasion, that's a triple yay. I mean, it's just dropping bombs out of the sky pretty much.
Yeah, I'm genuinely excited for most of the upcoming projects that have been officially announced due to the Comic-Con. I'm so excited. It's mind-blowing that we're getting two Avengers films in the same year, 6 months apart. When was the last time that they had two distinct movies in the same franchise released the same year? I think The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions happened in 2003.
Yep.
Now, those movies kind of, did not have the best reception, but they were enjoyable sequels nonetheless. So I'm curious if the hype train will be so high for these Avengers movies and they'll actually live up to their potential. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, I ask it all to you. What did you think of Marvel's announcements at Comic-Con? What are you most excited for? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say about it. Well, Jacob, let's get into the August preview, and we've got quite a bit lined up. The summer is wrapping up, and it's looking like there's more than a few of these where I was like looking at the very least looking forward to, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, there's a few interesting movies that I'm intrigued to check out this past month. And it's interesting to me, there's not really that many franchise movies coming out in August. Looking at the list, uh there was at least like only like one or two I can think of that have been from a specific franchise. Most of these are just standalone or original movies, which is kind of refreshing considering everyone's like, Hollywood's all about remakes and sequels and prequels and all that. Just look, there's a lot of original movies coming out this month, either in theaters or on streaming. Do your homework. That's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And to those of you who say that and then like don't go support movies like this, you've officially lost the high ground at that point. But that's another conversation for another time. Also, just to your point, to my knowledge, the only franchise movie that I've seen is Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I mean, that's a pretty big one. And there hasn't been a Ninja Turtles movie since 2016 or 17 with that awful sequel with Stephen Amell. Bless him, he was trying as Casey Jones, but it just didn't work. That's a whole other story for another time. But
we also got Prey, which is in the Predator franchise.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yes, thank you for that. And we're also getting the sequel to the Orphan movie, which I completely forgot the Orphan movie actually existed. But we'll talk about that when we get to that. But let's get into the preview proper, starting with Bullet Train. And just to read the synopsis. 5 assassins aboard a fast-moving bullet train find out their missions have something in common. This was directed by David Leitch, who directed Deadpool 2 and one of the John Wick movies. I believe it was Chapter 2.
I think it was the first one.
Let me just take a look. Yes, it was the first one. Thank you, Jacob.
And I also directed Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, well, not everything can be a success, I guess. But just for the first John Wick movie alone, I am very excited at the prospect of this. I've seen this trailer, honestly, too many times by this point. I'm just glad this movie's coming out so I never have to see this trailer again. But on your excitement level, Jacob, what say you?
I am actually really excited to see this one. I am a fan of the action style of David Leitch, even if not all of his movies have been the best. I love his style of action, and I will always support the stunt work related to the action movies he's directed. And this movie looks right up my alley. I like that we're the bullet train setting. I'm a sucker for movies involving trains and that being the setting. And I love action sequences set on moving trains. So I'm excited to see that. Plus, you got Brad Pitt. You got the stunt crew who worked on John Wick. I think it's going to be a blast. I'm hoping it actually lives up to its potential. And for my anticipation rating, I'm going to go 4.5 on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going 4.5. I'm thinking that this is going to be a sleeper hit for the year. Especially it's going to be weird seeing Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock in the same movie again after we just saw them in The Lost City earlier this year. So a funny little reunion there. Well, let's move on now to Luck. This is going to be streaming on Apple TV+. And this is the curtain is pulled back on the millennia-old battle between the organizations of good luck and bad luck that secretly affects everyday lives. Now, I've actually seen this trailer a couple times now. Rachel and I, when we did our streaming preview, this was one of those. And it seems like Apple TV Plus is silently putting out some pretty decent stuff. I'm actually subtly looking forward to this one, if for nothing else but for the presence of Simon Pegg. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, this actually looks like a pretty solid movie. Plus, this is a new animation studio that we're seeing on the horizon. That's Skydance Animation that worked on this. And so it's always exciting to support new animation studios on the horizon. I do like the premise, and it looks like it'll be a fun little adventure. And again, like you, Ryan, Simon Pegg and voice work is always a load of fun. So I'm actually kind of intrigued to see this one. I'm going 4.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I actually had no idea that Skydance was behind this one. So shout out to them. Hopefully, this is a hit because animation is cool and should be celebrated more. Well, let's move on now to Prey. This is streaming on Hulu, and we're getting yet another Predator movie. Well, after the Predator brought the franchise to a new level, that level being called The Basement, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. The origin story of the Predator in the world of the Comanche Nation 300 years ago. Naru, a skilled female warrior, fights to protect her tribe against one of the first highly evolved predators to land on Earth. I think immediately an arrow in this movie's quiver is the fact that they set this in something other than the jungle or the city. They set this in the early 1700s in the prairies against Native Americans. Like, I love that. I love the spirit of that. That's an immediate, like, all right, you've got my attention. And then on top of that, this movie was directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a fantastic movie. So I'm very, very excited for this one. I'm going 4.5.
I agree with you, Ryan. Considering I hated The Predator, I think this is going to be the comeback that the franchise desperately needs. Between the setting, what they're doing with the story just on the trailer alone, and the fact that you got the guy who did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was such a suspenseful movie in its own right. I think this could potentially be one of the best in the franchise, on par with the original.
Yeah, I agree. And I have not seen Predators, the one that was released in 2010. I've heard mixed things about it, but if Prey is good, then there's a solid trilogy of Prey, Predator, and Predator 2. And you can forget about the rest.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I went 4.5. Jacob, what about you?
4.5 as well.
All right, very good. Well, next up is Easter Sunday. This is starring comedian Joe Coy. Set around a family gathering to celebrate Easter Sunday, the comedy is based on Joe Coy's life experiences and stand-up comedy. Now, I am not super familiar with Mr. Coy's work. I know someone in the movie space I follow, Mr. Matt Wyatt, shout out to him, is a big fan of Mr. Coy's. So it'll be interesting, but as someone who's not super familiar with his work, I have a feeling this will be a little bit semi-autobiographical, and I think that will give it a bit of an edge. What say you?
Yeah, reminds me a little bit of when Kamal Nanjiani did The Big Sick, because that was loosely based on his upbringing. And that actually ended up being a pleasant surprise, and I actually really liked that one. What's mind-baffling to me is the movie's called Easter Sunday, and Easter is like a big prominent thing in the story. Why didn't they drop this on Easter weekend? Why are we getting this in August? That's like the biggest question mark I got just from watching the trailer. The movie looks all right to me. It looks interesting. I'm not like crazy hyped on it, but it could be a decent enough movie.
So getting a big old 3 for you?
3 for me. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to meet you there. I think it has potential, but again, I'm not super familiar with Joe Coy, so maybe this will be my intro to him. Who knows? And shout out to The Big Sick. That movie is really good. Well, next up is a Netflix movie, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When a mysterious stranger arrives from the future with a dire warning, Leo is forced to rise and lead his brothers, Ralph, Donnie, and Mikey, in a fight to save the world from a terrifying alien species. Now, I'm not a super big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am familiar with people who absolutely love them, and I'm not sure if this is going to land for them. However, the animation style definitely is really speaking to me. I'm going to go 3.5 on this one, an extra half point just for how dynamic the animation looks.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Ninja Turtles fan either. In fact, the only Ninja Turtle film I've actually seen is the original live action film from the 90s, which is a pretty solid movie in itself. This movie looks okay to me. I think I think that's into the cartoons, I think we'll get into it more. But the animation, I agree, is absolutely stunning just in the trailer alone. It almost has kind of like an anime-ish look to it. And I'm kind of a sucker for that style of animation. So if anything, if I'll mainly watch the movie just for the animation alone, I'm gonna go 3.
Right, very good. Well, next up is yet another entry from A24. Seriously, they're like a machine this year, called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. When a group of rich 20-somethings plan a hurricane party at a remote family mansion, a party game turns deadly in this fresh and funny look at a backstabbing family friend or fake friends and one party gone very, very wrong. Now, A24 is very hit or miss, definitely in the case of this year, but this looks actually potentially interesting. I would be lying if I said I'm a Pete Davidson fan. I'm not a big fan of his. I just don't see the appeal and why people talk about him so much all the time. But just from this premise, it's piqued my interest. I'm going to go for a 3 on this one.
It can go either way for me, honestly, because the premise is there, but I wasn't really feeling any of the characters. I thought they seemed a little bit on the annoying side when I watched the trailer, particularly Pete Davidson, like you mentioned. But there is potential though. But A24 has been kind of hit and miss. They're not one of my favorite studios or anything. I'm a little iffy on this movie, but if the movie's good, then I can just eat my own crow, I guess, when I watch the movie. But for now, I'm going 2.5.
Right, very good. Well, next up is They Slash Them. This is coming to Peacock. LGBTQIA plus empowerment tale set at a gay conversion camp. And I'm reading that off of IMDb. So I'm reading that directly from there. So there you go. This is written and directed by John Logan, who wrote the screenplay for a little movie you may have heard of called Skyfall. He's also had a heavy hand in a series called Penny Dreadful. He also had a hand in Alien Covenant. And he's also done Hugo and Rango. So he's had a pretty heavy hand at The Aviator. So from the trailer, I am a big fan of Kevin Bacon. Like seeing him at a summer camp movie when one of his first movies was the OG Friday the 13th is a very nice full circle moment. Um, I don't know, Jacob. What say you? What did you think?
I see a bunch of red flags with this movie, not because of the subject matter or anything, but considering you brought up the guy's credits, this movie for one looks cheap. I was like honestly kind of like taken aback by that, especially since you got Kevin Bacon in it, and you're trying to base a horror movie off of a possible horror story set in this camp, and it looks like bottom of the barrel horror scares when watching it. And also because you're dealing with the whole gay community and gay conversion and some of that stuff, I fear they might go like very preachy with the social commentary, and putting it on Peacock, I think, is probably the biggest damper the movie has. Like if the studio has no faith in this movie to drop it in theaters and it's just going to streaming, it's probably not going to be that good. I could be wrong on this, and hopefully, especially since you brought up the guy's credits and he's done some awesome stuff, this could actually be good. But I'm seeing so many red flags just from the trailer alone, so I don't have too much faith in this movie.
What are you thinking? Like two, 2.5?
I was actually like 1.5.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Well, I'll go 2 just because John Logan has a lot of credits under his belt, so that's got to lead to something at the very least. Plus, I'm just interested to see how this camp slasher movie kind of plays in with the LGBT and slash gay community. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Well, next up is Secret Headquarters. This is coming to Paramount Plus. Young Charlie Kincaid, who discovers a secret headquarters under his home that seems to belong to a superhero. He shares it with his friends, and they start to believe that his estranged father might have a secret double life. This movie stars Owen Wilson and Michael Pena. From the trailer, I think it kind of... I was getting a bit of Sky High vibes just from me. I mean, I could be totally off base on that, but that's what my mind was leaning towards, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, it definitely had a vibe that you would see in some of those like early to mid 2000s kids movies. And I grew up in that time, so I'm like, oh, okay, they're trying to throw back to some of these kids movies that I grew up with. I don't think that means the movie's going to be any good or not. But hey, you got Owen Wilson in it. You kind of sort of piqued my interest. I don't think the comedy is going to land for me as a grown man, but we'll see. I don't know. Uh, just from curiosity. 2.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's go with 2. Well, next up is Day Shift. This is a Netflix film. A hardworking blue-collar dad who just wants to provide a good life for his quick-witted 8-year-old daughter. His mundane San Fernando Valley pool cleaning job is a front for his real source of income, hunting and killing vampires. So reading that synopsis, like, okay. Hunting and killing vampires. Wait, what was that last part again? It's just that's like one of those things where it's like, wait, what? What was that last part? The cast is pretty good. You got Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, Snoop Dogg, Carla Souza. It seems like there's got at least they got the cast involved in there. What say you?
You got me hooked on Jamie Foxx, Django himself, killing vampires. That's a big yes for me. Now, the story may not be the best, but if the action delivers, and Netflix put on the trailer from this crew who brought you John Wick. So I think the John Wick crew is involved in this movie too, just from what I saw in the trailer. So if that crew is involved, in the stunt choreography is going to be fantastic at least. So I am at least intrigued just on an action level. Maybe not so on story, but action is a big thumbs up for me. I'm going 3.5.
Yeah, I will meet you there. I'll say 3.5. Well, next up is Mack and Rita. It tells the story of a 30-year-old writer spends a wild weekend in Palm Springs and wakes up to find she is magically transformed into a 70-year-old woman played by Diane Keaton. What did you think of this one?
This is the weirdest trailer that I saw out of all of them, because I don't know anyone in real life who, ever since they were young, is like, oh, I want to be old. I want to like be old and be like my grandma or something like.
Well,
Nobody acts like this.
Usually it's the other way around.
I'm like, yeah, I want to be young. So that just kind of turned me off there. I guess it's cool to see Diane Keaton, and stuff because she's a really great actress. But I think there's going to be fans of this movie. I guess if you love Diane Keaton and want to see her, I guess, continue to be in movies, I guess. I think people in, I guess, Diane's age might rush out to see this one. But I don't know. The premise was just too weird for me. I couldn't get past the whole young woman's like, yeah, I feel like I'm an old woman trapped in a young woman's body and I want to be like grandma at 30 or something. I'm like,
You know
who
that
acts like this?
there's being called an old soul, but this is ridiculous. Are you being generous to say like say 2?
2.5 just for the Diane Keaton factor because she's a good actress, but
Yeah, I give it a full half point just for Diane Keaton. Mad respect to her.
pretty much.
She's one of the greats. Well, next up is Fall, and this is one that I'm actually quite looking forward to. Best friends Becky and Hunter find themselves at the top of a 2,000-foot radio tower. Now, I have a bit of a soft spot for movies that like people stuck in things or like stuck in one location and they're trapped and they have to find creative ways to get out of there. I mean, movies like Gravity or The Shallows. And I'm not saying that this movie will be on level with the quality of, say, Gravity, but every time I see this trailer, it just like, it brings me to like the edge of my seat. Like, I can tolerate heights, but there's something about this movie where like it has one of the best teaser trailers of the year where you start at the bottom of the tower and it just go up and up and up and up and up and up. And you're just like, what kind of movie is this? And it's like, Fall, coming soon. And you're like, hope nobody falls in this. So I'm going a bit high on this one. I'm going to go with a 4.
Yeah, the movie looks interesting. I had never actually seen this trailer until we did the research, but it actually looks pretty intriguing. I think it's going to have that edge of your seat suspense that you want in a story like this. I don't know how well it's going to be on a story character level, but I'm hoping it delivers on suspense edge of your seat thrill ride level with these characters stuck in this unusually bizarre predicament. I'm intrigued with stories like this, especially the whole survival set. I'm going to go 3.5.
Very good. Well, next up is Emily the Criminal. Down on her luck and saddled with debt, Emily gets involved in a credit card scam that pulls her into the criminal underworld of Los Angeles, ultimately leading to deadly consequences. This is getting buzz from Sundance. It stars Aubrey Plaza and Theo Rossi, who I recognize from Sons of Anarchy. Shout out to him. This looks like a very interesting premise, like someone who starts off just riddled with debt and then just slowly becomes a criminal and then just it's all downhill from there. It feels very Breaking Bad-ish to me, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as a good thing. What say you?
Yeah, this one did look pretty interesting. Like Aubrey Plaza is a pretty good actress in the movies I've seen her in, and I think the movie's going to deliver mainly because of her performance. When I was watching the trailer, the tone of it reminded me a little bit of Uncut Gems and how like anxiety inducing it was. I wasn't the biggest fan of Uncut Gems per se, even though I loved the performances in that movie. If it's on that level, I don't think it'll be one of my personal favorites of the year or anything, but I think with a quality lead performance, I think this does have some good potential. I'm going 3.
I'll go a little bit higher, 3.5.
All
Well,
right.
well, next up is Summering, and it tells the story. During their last days of summer and childhood, the weekend before middle school begins, you're still considered children by that point. What are you on? But anyway. 4 girls struggle with the harsh truths of growing up and embark on a mysterious adventure. I was watching this trailer, and then when a certain plot point hits, I'm like, "Oh, Stand By Me." And I've never seen the movie in full, but when a certain thing happens, it was like, Stand By Me right there. But I'm not dogging on the movie at all. I mean, it looks interesting. It's directed by James Ponsoldt, who who directed one of my friend Rachel's favorite movies, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which, I mean, Ezra Miller aside, was actually quite good from what I hear. But oh wait, actually, no, he directed The Spectacular Now. My bad. But James Ponsoldt has done good work in the past. So what say you?
Yeah, I actually haven't seen Stand By Me either. And watching the trailer, I'm like, this is like Stand By Me, but with girls. I guess this is like the girl equivalent, I guess, to that other movie, which I guess was more boy centric. I haven't seen Stand By Me, so I can't make the comparison. But watching the trailer, I'm like, I guess it has potential to be a good coming of age story. A little bit of mystery in there. I'm actually kind of intrigued by this one, just on the whole coming of age aspect alone. Kind of a sucker for those. I'm going 4 just on the potential that it could bring.
Oh, going high. I like it. I'll just go a little under and say 3.5, but this could be a sleeper hit. Who knows? But next up is Beast. A father and his 2 teenage daughters find themselves hunted by a massive rogue lion intent on proving that the savannah has but one apex predator. I've seen this trailer now a few times, and it's very hard to turn me off of anything with Idris Elba in it. He's got a busy month. He's got this and 3,000 Years of Longing, which we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think I think this is one of those movies where you know what you're going to get, but at the same time, I mean, it's Idris, so I mean, he gets at least a half a point on my score. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. Like this could be like the dumbest movie of the whole year before, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm a sucker for movies where characters have to take on creatures bigger than them. You know, you got Jaws and some that are not as good as quality as Jaws. You know, the Meg, and there's Crawl, and now we got Lion, which is Idris Elba taking on a lion. I mean, I love Idris Elba, fantastic actor, and putting him against a lion, I mean, I'll watch that, even if it's the dumbest movie of the year. And, you know, you might call me sacrilege on this, but because, you know, of the Idris Elba factor alone, I'm going to go 4. It looks like it'll be fun.
Oh wow, I was gonna go 3.5 for the Idris Elba factor, but you're doing it even bigger. I like it. I like it. I mean, that lion has no chance. I mean, after all, Idris Elba, he said himself, "I'm Black Superman." The best
and,
line of Hobbs and Shaw by a country mile.
and he's also canceled the apocalypse as well. So,
We are canceling the apocalypse. Excellent stuff. Well, next up is Orphan First Kill. This is coming to Paramount Plus, and it is after orchestrating a brilliant escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility. Say that 5 times fast. Esther travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. I'm a big horror fan, but this just didn't really speak to me. It's the sequel to a horror movie that I've never seen, and just automatically just reading that plot, I'm like, how does one impersonate someone's daughter? I don't know. I'm going very low on this spoiler. I think I'm being generous and saying like I think 1.5. What say you?
yeah, I'm the same, 1.5. I've never seen the first one. I think I remembered seeing it advertised when it came out, but that was in an age when I didn't watch that many horror movies. And I actually forgot the movie existed until this trailer. I'm like, oh yeah, we're getting a sequel to the Orphan movie that people forgot about. And watching the trailer, it just looked off. Like this, the girl's performance just seemed borderline camp worthy, camp factor. She didn't seem scary at all to me. Yeah, I don't. If the reviews are bad, I might go watch it and see if it's one of them like entertainingly so bad it's good movies, because that's what I'm feeling from the trailer. But I feel like I need to see the first movie before I make that assumption. So 1.5.
And I think we're both being a bit generous on that one. Well, next up is Spin Me Round. A woman wins an all-expenses trip to a company's gorgeous institute outside of Florence, and also the chance to meet the restaurant chain's wealthy and charismatic owner. She finds a different adventure than the one she imagined. I was getting kind of eat, pray, love kind of vibes from this, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I've actually read the book. You know, I'll turn in my man card, but I actually quite enjoyed the book, and I actually quite enjoy the movie. So it's a movie about a woman going to Italy and falling in love with the food and the dudes. So I mean, I'd like to take my mom to see this if it comes to my area. I'll give this one a 3.
Yeah, I'd go 3 as well. This story is not really my cup of tea, but I do like the cast, and the Italian location does look beautiful. I think this could be another sleeper hit if it's done very well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, next up is Samaritan. This is coming to Amazon. A young boy learns that a superhero who was thought to have gone missing after an epic battle 20 years ago may, in fact, still be around. You know, looking at this poster and reading the premise, I was kind of like, there's a lot of unbreakable in this, just a bit, if I'm not too far off on that one. But it's got Sylvester Stallone in it, and that ain't nothing. I mean, it's Stallone, so I'm going to give this one a bit of a chance. I'll say 2.5, but again, I'm being very, very, very generous on that.
Yeah, I am actually kind of concerned for this movie because we're about to go into August when this video drops. They haven't even dropped a trailer for this movie yet, and plus it's also coming to Amazon Prime when I think it was originally supposed to go to theaters. So somebody has no faith in this movie. I don't know about this movie, but I'm willing to give it a chance because Stallone is a fantastic actor. Even if he hasn't been in the best movies, he is an incredible actor and he tends to deliver his A game even in the worst of his movies. So I hope it'll still be watchable on that alone. Plus, it's kind of cool seeing Stallone be a superhero. Just to be generous, I agree, Ryan. I'm going 2.5.
I mean, he was Judge Dredd, but yes, it will be interesting to see. And
Forgot about Judge Dredd. Hey, blue.
I was like, good for you, buddy. Hang out with Rob Schneider. What a weird choice. Thank God for Carl Urban and Alex Garland legitimizing Judge Dredd, but that's another conversation for another time. Next up is Me Time. There was no trailer for this, so I'll just have to read the plot. Follows a dad who finds time for himself for the first time in years while his wife and kids are away. He reconnects with a friend for a wild weekend. This stars Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart. Considering the two involved, I have a feeling I know exactly what's going to be happening here. It's one of those where it's like, I want to get away. They get away. They have a ton of fun. Something happens where it longs for the families to return. And then the families return, the end. And I don't think I've stepped outside the box on what the plot is going to be. But I think considering the talent involved, I might be interested. I'll give it a 2, but I feel like I'm being compassionate.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard judging when you don't have the trailer. Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart are fine actors. They're not like my favorites or anything, but is that a Netflix movie by any chance?
It did not say on IMDb, but
okay. Like I think that sounds like a streaming movie.
looking in Wikipedia, it is a Netflix movie.
I had a feeling it was a Netflix movie just from your description. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an interesting movie, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I'm going to go 2. I'm with you there.
All right, well, next up is Breaking, and this tells story of a Marine War veteran faces mental and emotional challenges when he tries to reintegrate back into civilian life. Now, this is the description off IMDb. the trailer is basically a bank robbery movie from what we have just seen from the trailer. And considering that the cast involves John Boyega, I have a feeling that at least he's going to be doing a good job. And just I saw a comment on the YouTube video that said that Boyega was definitely, from his voice and his look, he kind of looks like a young Denzel. And not gonna lie, he definitely has that look about him. I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one. I'll be a bit generous.
Yeah, this movie just blew me out of the water when I saw the trailer because one, I didn't even recognize John Boyega, the makeup they brought on him, and it looks like he's really going for it in his performance. And considering people gave him bad crap in the sequel trilogy, I'm excited to see him move on from that and continue to grow as an actor because he has so much great potential. And I can't wait to see what he's going to bring in this post Star Wars world. I'm actually more hyped to see it just to see what he's going to bring. I'm actually going to go 4.5 because the trailer absolutely floored me.
All right, very good. Going a bit even more generous than I was going to. And shout out to John Boyega. Honestly, he was one of the best parts of the sequel trilogy. It wasn't even really his fault that the writing was subpar. He did the best with what he was given. And I feel sorry for him that he had to go through that crap with Disney and just all the other things. Thankfully, now he is free from all of that Disney Star Wars nonsense and he can actually start doing some like legit movies again. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Well, next up is The Invitation. A young woman is courted and swept off her feet, only to realize a gothic conspiracy is afoot. From watching this trailer, I was thinking to myself, this has Ready or Not vibes to it, and I actually kind of enjoy that. I have a feeling this is going to be along those lines, and if that is, then I think this might be one of my favorite movies of the year. It might be a sleeper hit. I'm going to give this a 4.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I like what they were teasing in the trailer. I feel like they might have given away a little too much. I wish they kind of kept some of the conspiracy things a little bit of a secret. But regardless, it does have a lot of potential, and I hope it actually is enjoyable. I'm glad you made the Ready or Not comparison because that movie is awesome. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Ready or Not, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, shout out to Samara Weaving. I hope she gets more work in the future. Well, next up is Funny Pages. This is the second A24 release of the month. A bitingly funny coming-of-age story of a teenage cartoonist who rejects the comforts of his suburban life in a misguided quest for soul. Watching this trailer, I was thinking, I think this could subtly be quite good. I like the story that I like the beats that they're trying to tell here. And from the looks of the artist, I mean, not gonna lie, the drawings do look pretty good. So I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one.
Yeah, I agree. 3.5 for me as well. It actually looks like the movie's harkening back to like a different era of filmmaking, like the indie filmmaking that you saw in a lot of 90s cinema. And I really like the spirit of that. I think the characters are quirky and likable just from the trailer alone. And I think it's going to be a fun story. I'm willing to give this one a chance.
Great. Well, the penultimate movie we're going to be talking about was called Fear, but I'm having a hard time finding it even on IMDb, so I guess we'll just have to move on for right now. So our final movie in the preview is 3,000 Years of Longing. This is another one from George Miller. This is his first movie since Mad Max Fury Road, so whatever he's been working on, I sincerely hope that it's good because, I mean, the dude's been working on it for quite some time. A lonely scholar on a trip to Istanbul discovers a djinn, D-J-I-N-N.
Yeah, Jen is what that's called.
The djinn?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
They,
Jay.
That was in Miss Marvel, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had some creatures called the Jinn in that series.
Well, discovers a djinn who offers her 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. This is the second movie this month starring Idris Elba. It also stars Tilda Swinton. That's a yes and a double yes for me. I love both of these actors, 2 pieces. And in a George Miller movie that looks to be pretty insane, I'm going to go 5 on this one. This is my lone 5 of the preview, but I have high, high, high hopes for this one.
Yeah, this one actually looks really good. I don't know what to make of it because it looks so out there as far as its storytelling. But George Miller is a fantastic director just from the Mad Max movies alone. And I hope he delivers on such a bonkers premise. Plus, I love Tilda Swinton, Idris Elba, like you said. I'm not going 5 because I'm not wowed by the story yet, just from watching the trailer. But I'm still going to watch it to support a director's vision. So I'm going to go 4.
All right, very good. Well, that's all the movies for August. My clear one that I'm looking forward to is 3,000 Years of Longing. But there's a couple ones where I'm like, okay, that could be a potential breakout. So, like
Yeah.
we teased at the beginning, this is definitely the month for original ideas. There's a couple franchise ones, and then it's just pretty much all like original ideas. So if you all are sick of franchises and looking for something different, this is your month right here. Like
Yeah.
the gates are open. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, go seek it out. I'm definitely going to go support Bullet Train at least. That movie looks really good.
Yeah, and also one thing I forgot to bring up was we got the trailer for John Wick Chapter 4, and whoo, I'm looking forward to that one, boy.
Oh, you want to know my hot take? I'm not that hyped on it.
You take that back.
Well, my unpopular opinion is that I prefer John Wick when it was the small scale story that the first movie was. And I feel like the more they've expanded the world, the less interesting it's gotten. Yes, the action is great in all 3 of the John Wick movies, and Keanu Reeves is killing it. But I did not like how John Wick 3 ended. Like, that could have been a good trilogy capper, but they forced another cliffhanger just to make more and more movies. And I feel like the appeal is gone for me with these John Wick movies. So I was not that excited when I saw the trailer. It just looks more the same to me.
Well, you just wait to see Keanu Reeves face Donnie Yen in a battle of guns versus swords, and then you come back to me and I will remind you how you thought that this was going to be overrated.
Um, I mean, the action's going to be good, but like the stories just hadn't been that interesting since. Well, I like the second one. 3 had great action, but it just like fell apart in the last 20 minutes or so with whatever they were doing there.
I Keanu took out a dude by a horse, an actual horse, and earlier in that same sequence, he took out a dude with a book, an actual book. But that's
Hey, the action was great in that movie. The story was not was all over the place.
I think I've got a bit more of a soft spot for the John Wick movies just in general, because yeah, the first one is excellent, but I mean they haven't gotten old for me yet. But we have till February, so it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and then. But anyway, as far as August 2022 goes, what movies are you all looking forward to? Leave them in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. Well, that's it for another episode. I always look forward to doing these preview episodes. I want to thank Jacob for compiling this list. Like, he is a saint and a half for doing that. So give him all the love. And it's going to be sad that we have to wait till September to do another preview. But I mean, that's all fine and dandy. But just wow, like summer is almost over, and like, and now we're moving on. Now we're discussing September. That's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I know. It's like yesterday we just started the podcast. It's like almost 3/4 of the year's gone by already. How'd that happen?
Well, it has been an amazing ride so far, and I want to keep this going for as long as possible. But Jacob, it is a privilege as always. Tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me on Letterboxd, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can also subscribe to my 2 YouTube channels. My second channel, Storytime with Jacob, is where I do the book reviews and read-alongs. And over on my main channel, you can check out my movie reviews, TV reviews, and all that fun stuff. Some videos dropping on my channel this week at the time of recording, which is a Monday night. I just dropped my video on Downton Abbey episode 6. I'm still enjoying Downton Abbey so far. I just dropped the video on Billy Wilder's second to last film, Fedora, starring William Holden, which is in similar veins as Sunset Boulevard. It's not as good as Sunset Boulevard, but it's actually an underrated hidden gem, and I actually do recommend that one. Other reviews coming to the channel, I got a review of Clash of the Titans, the original from 1981. Fun little movie there. I'll be going live with Jacob Collins this week. Actually, the video will have already dropped by the time of recording, but you can check out our live stream discussion on the Tom Hanks film Bachelor Party from my Project Hank series. And tomorrow, after this video will have come out, I'll be doing a live stream with Jason the Old Millennial for the first time, where we'll be discussing our top 10 music biopics. So definitely go check that out. There's some exciting stuff coming to the channel, and I look forward to seeing, I guess, where the channel continually goes going forward. And if you want to check those videos out, you're more than kind of lost my train of thought there. You're more than welcome to do so. I can talk.
Yeah, we all can. We all can. But do subscribe to Jacob's channels. They will be linked in the description. They're both fantastic. And as far as this channel goes, if you did like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, do hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. As far as the rest of this week goes, I will have a review up for the League of the Super Pets. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting. Kevin Hart voicing a bulldog. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. And then I will have my first reaction up to the Alex Proyas film, The Crow. So that'll be up this coming Sunday. And I will let you all know when the Shawshank Redemption episode of Chatter After drops, in which I will be a guest on. And I'll keep you up to date on all things League of Cinephiles stuff. That is all for us. That's Jacob Martin. My name is Ryan Cam, and we will see you in the next one. You all take care now.